And Misty Hayes here. We are right next to, goodness me, the debug bar. And we're going to talk about retro tech today. Misty, it's really nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you too.
When you came up, I couldn't help but think, gosh, this gal is really passionate about Microsoft. I want to ask a couple questions. Number one is, I understand that you are one of the world's largest collectors of Microsoft memorabilia.
Yes. Yes, it is I guess you could say side job.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a hobby.
And do you know how many pieces that you have?
I don't know, but it's taking over my apartment, so I'm gonna have to figure out a better organization style with that, but I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
And do you work with the archive team at Microsoft, and so you get to uncover, if you will, more and more interesting things all the time. So what on one of the pins that you have right now, what is your favorite pin, and what's the oldest pin that you have?
I would say it's probably as far as the oldest, it could be the mouse pin or the start button. But my favorite is Clippy.
Okay.
It's Clippy pin.
What would be the year that you got Clippy?
I just got this pin like I think it was like 2 months ago from someone else that worked at Microsoft.
Okay.
That said, hey, I think you might like this. Yeah, so one of the cool things about working with the archives team has been just kind of like researching, Microsoft products from the 90s like Encarta, which Encarta was an amazing product that I love and believe that should still be alive today. And so there have been a lot of good lessons from Encarta that I've learned that we're actually doing on my team on Visual Studio now. So it's been really great to learn more about that team and the great work that they did and how they were ahead of the times, even in the 90s, which is not something we think about all the time. So it's been awesome, like learning about them.
So your roots are in programming and development. So how did that, when you look at the Encarta code, for example, how does that impact and really influence your current team's programming?
Yeah, so learning about the Encarta team, the biggest thing that's kind of stood out to me is, I'm looking at everything, I'm reading the specs and I'm reading everything and I'm looking at it from the future, looking at the past, and seeing that each time they made a different version of Encarta, they got better. And seeing like the proof is in the pudding, they made these changes and how it really successfully like made a difference and they made a better product. And how, today on my team, it's like encouraged us and inspired us to basically write better documentation, which is something that has been a problem in tech, since the beginning. And we were inspired by Encarta, so I was like, you know what, we should write a historical doc, and it will tell the story of our team and why we've made different changes over the time, just like how our product has changed. And so that's something that all the team has contributed to, and we're approaching it as like history, and everyone's really excited, and it's helping with development and helping with design decisions, and that came from Encarta, so it's been great.
That's a fabulous way to do a lot of teaching too, to younger, new programmers, I bet. So do you think good programming is like a compounded interest? Is that what you're finding, especially staying on Encarta?
Yeah, and I mean, the coolest thing that I've read is in one of the programming specs, someone had a quote and it said, "In short, we are learning." And that really stuck with me, and I don't think I'll ever forget that, because that's what we want to do, is constantly get better for customers and make a better product and take all these things into consideration. And that team is incredible, and I want them to know that we appreciate them.
So what is your favorite application besides Encarta that you've worked on?
Well, the next thing that I'm almost done researching is Microsoft Bob, and so I really love Bob too. And so the cool thing about Bob is there are all these different things that were in one product. And so nowadays, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what app is the best thing for this and this and this, and everything was in Bob, and they had experts that actually talked about, what if you're buying a house? What do you do? What if you're trying to get in shape? What if you're trying to do all of these things that we do? What if you're trying to learn how to invest in stock? And so Bob had all of that, and they had experts that actually wrote guides for that. And I'm like, this is fantastic. And so I'm actually using it at home. And I built a computer just to run 90s software from Microsoft because, I'm like, we should have Bob today.
Wow, you built your own machine to do that. Misty, that's a rock star. Very cool. Well, I'm looking around because, you're talking about some 90s kind of technology there, and I see a 90s guy. What?
I'm a 90s guy.
You're a 90s guy. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you?
I'm great. Are you Misty?
Yeah.
You're starting that new Channel 9 show, I think. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
What's going on with Channel 9? Are you going to be talking about retro tech?
Yeah, so in January, I'm launching a show, and it's called Retro Tech with Misty, and I'm partnering with them, and I'll be interviewing people who worked on Microsoft products from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, and kind of like have them share stories about the product and things like that.
That's great.
And so I'm recording some on an old analog video tape recorder, and then I'll film some in studio, but it's more of like giving appreciation for people who worked on products of the past, because there should be that appreciation because they were ahead of the times in a lot of different products. So I want to give back and say thank you. That was the idea of the show. So.
Oh, wow. Misty, that's so genuine. So thank you, and I bet those folks enjoy that as well. So, okay, what's your favorite retro tech?
Oh, that's really difficult. I would say Clippy again. As far as like technology, that's really hard. I would say DOS is great. I would say Windows, I believe it was NT, was great. I talked to people who worked on that.
Yeah, hey,
it's a great story.
That's where I cut my teeth. Windows NT, that's right. Jeffrey, you got a favorite retro tech?
I do, and actually, Microsoft Access, a fantastic database for single user scenarios.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, if you're listening, keep it going.
Okay, my favorite retro tech. I think those old ink plotter printers. Remember those? You had to put the cover over it because it was like, Oh, hey, what about this? My first job out of college, we had a thermal fax machine. It would come off the line because it was a finance company. It'd come off the fax machine, go down on the floor in a big roll. Then I'd have to cut it into individual pieces and then copy it and give it to my bosses. Yeah, that was my job. That's some retro tech. Yeah. So what are you guys looking forward to as far as when you look around the floor? What are the things you're looking forward to today and this week?
I really like talking to the booths that the sponsors are at, because it's really cool to hear about different things and how they work with Microsoft products. But most of all, it would be the customers, though. Just like talking with them and getting to know more about them. It's one of the few times we actually can see them face to face and interact with them. So that's been the best part. But I also like talking to the other companies too. It's been really fun.
That's great. Jeffrey, what about yourself? What have you enjoyed so far?
Oh, just the electricity, the energy in the air.
Okay, next question. So we got retro tech. Do you guys then have a retro playlist?
Oh, that's really hard because I really like synth, 80s music. So anything synth, I would say.
Okay, all right. Well, that's going to wrap it for us, and we're going to go back to the live desk.